The vast emptiness of space stretched before the research vessel Harmony, like an infinite canvas of darkness. Jae-hyun Park stood at the observation deck, his fingers dancing across holographic control panels, tracking stellar coordinates with practiced precision. Outside the reinforced windows, distant stars flickered like tiny diamonds against the black backdrop. At 28, Jae-hyun was no ordinary stellar cartographer. His reputation among research teams preceded him, a quiet genius who could map complex interstellar regions with uncanny accuracy. His colleagues often joked that he understood star systems better than human relationships. The ship's communication system suddenly crackled to life. Multiple unknown vessel signatures were approaching from different vectors. Most navigation officers would have tensed, but Jae-hyun remained calm, his dark eyes calculating potential interaction scenarios. 3 distinctly unique spacecraft emerged from hyperspace simultaneously. Their designs defied conventional understanding. One resembled a crystalline structure that refracted light in impossible patterns. Another appeared as a swirling gaseous cloud contained within a transparent membrane, and the third looked like a living mechanical entity that seemed to breathe and pulse with internal energy. Communication protocols initiated automatically. Strange frequencies filled the ship's communication channels, not just sounds but complex mathematical sequences and vibrational patterns that seemed to carry emotional undertones. Aurea, the crystalline diplomat, felt something unprecedented the moment visual contact was established. Her molecular structure began resonating at a frequency she had never experienced. Raken, the gaseous consortium leader, simultaneously detected an inexplicable gravitational pull towards the human vessel. Next, the biomechanical ambassador registered quantum-level emotional responses that contradicted all known scientific understanding. Jae-hyun noticed unusual data patterns emerging on his screens. Complex algorithms were forming, transforming standard communication protocols into something more alive. He adjusted his neural interface, believing it might be a technical glitch. Unidentified vessels, he spoke into the communication system. This is Research Vessel Harmony. Please state your intentions. What happened next would be recorded in galactic archives as the most unusual first contact in recorded history. The 3 alien vessels began performing an intricate spatial dance. They moved with synchronized precision, creating geometric patterns around the Harmony that seemed more like an elaborate courtship ritual than a standard diplomatic approach. Jae-hyun's scientific mind struggled to categorize their movements. Were these defensive maneuvers? A communication method? Or something entirely beyond his comprehension? Aurea's crystalline structure began generating holographic projections that displayed complex mathematical equations, each formula seemingly expressing an emotional state. Raken's gaseous form created atmospheric harmonies that resonated through the ship's sensors, producing frequencies that seemed to carry emotional depth. Next constructed rapidly changing nanomolecular structures that pulsed with an energy that felt strangely alive. The ship's artificial intelligence began experiencing unprecedented computational responses. Standard processing algorithms were being challenged, rewritten in real time by the incoming alien interactions. What is happening? Jae-hyun muttered, more to himself than anyone else. He didn't realize that at that precise moment, 3 advanced alien civilizations were experiencing their first genuine emotional connection with a human. A connection that would fundamentally alter their understanding of sentient interaction. The Harmony systems continued recording, capturing every millisecond of this extraordinary encounter. Jae-hyun Park remained unaware that he had become the unexpected focal point of an interstellar phenomenon that would be studied for generations. Space continued its silent watch, witnessing the beginning of a story that defied conventional understanding of communication, emotion, and connection across different forms of existence. The days following the initial encounter transformed the Harmony into an unexpected stage of cosmic courtship. Jae-hyun remained blissfully unaware of the complex romantic drama unfolding around him, interpreting every alien interaction as a complex scientific exchange. Aurea was the first to initiate her courtship strategy. She began transmitting intricate crystal formations that mapped out entire star systems. Each geometric pattern contained subtle emotional frequencies that, to her species, represented deep romantic interest. To Jae-hyun, these looked like fascinating, stellar navigation charts. During a routine research meeting, Jae-hyun would examine these crystal-like transmissions, completely missing their true meaning. Fascinating navigation data, he would mumble, analyzing the complex structures with scientific precision. Raken, not to be outdone, responded with atmospheric compositions. The gaseous being created harmonic waves that vibrated through the ship's communication systems. These weren't just sounds, they were emotional symphonies that represented his growing attraction. To human ears, they sounded like complex scientific data transmissions. During one memorable moment, Raken's atmospheric composition caused the ship's internal temperature to fluctuate perfectly in sync with Jae-hyun's emotional state. Though, the human scientists simply assumed it was a minor technical malfunction. Next took a more direct approach. The biomechanical ambassador began constructing nanomolecular sculptures that appeared to be advanced scientific models. Each sculpture contained microscopic emotional signatures that represented complex feelings of attraction. Jae-hyun saw these as groundbreaking research prototypes. The ship's crew started noticing strange occurrences. Equipment would mysteriously calibrate to Jae-hyun's preferred settings. Communication systems would optimize themselves around his work patterns. Coffee would appear precisely when he needed it most. Though he attributed this to excellent ship management. Competition between the alien suitors intensified. Oria began generating crystal formations that became increasingly elaborate. Raken's atmospheric compositions grew more complex, creating subtle musical narratives of attraction. Nex's nanomolecular sculptures became intricate representations of potential emotional connections. Unintentional diplomatic incidents began occurring. When Oria discovered Raken attempting to create a special atmospheric transmission, she responded by generating a crystal formation that temporarily disrupted the ship's secondary communication systems. Nex, sensing the conflict, attempted to mediate by creating a nanomolecular bridge between their communication methods. The ship's artificial intelligence started experiencing unprecedented computational challenges. Multiple complex communication protocols were simultaneously being processed, each carrying layers of emotional and scientific information. Jae-hyun remained completely oblivious. To him, these were simply fascinating scientific exchanges representing potentially groundbreaking interspecies communication methods. During a routine research presentation, Jae-hyun would explain the interesting communication patterns he was receiving, never realizing each transmission was a carefully crafted expression of romantic interest. His colleagues listened with a mixture of confusion and scientific curiosity. The alien suitors watched carefully, each believing their approach was the most effective. Oria believed her precise geometric representations would appeal to Jae-hyun's analytical mind. Raken was convinced his emotional atmospheric compositions would resonate with human sensitivity. Next thought the biomechanical sculptures would demonstrate a perfect blend of emotion and logic. Little did they know that their competitive courtship was creating an unprecedented diplomatic situation. Entire governmental departments across their respective civilizations were now tracking these interactions, trying to understand this inexplicable collective attraction to a single human. Jae-hyun continued his research, occasionally pausing to marvel at the fascinating communication methods he was experiencing. He had no idea that he was the center of an interstellar romantic drama that would eventually redefine understanding of emotional connection across different species. The Harmony continued its journey through space, carrying within its hull a love story more complex and extraordinary than anyone could have imagined. The tension began quietly, like a distant storm gathering strength. Galactic communication channels started buzzing with unusual data transmissions. Government officials from multiple alien civilizations found themselves receiving cryptic reports about an unprecedented phenomenon involving one human and 3 different alien representatives. Oria's crystal civilization first raised diplomatic alerts. Their High Council received transmission patterns that suggested their diplomat was experiencing something beyond standard first contact protocols. They dispatched 3 specialized investigation vessels to understand the situation. Rakin's gaseous consortium was next. Their atmospheric communication networks detected unusual frequency modulations that suggested their leader was no longer following standard diplomatic engagement procedures. They initiated a comprehensive review, which quickly escalated into a full governmental investigation. Nex's biomechanical collective became concerned when their ambassador's nanomolecular communication patterns began showing unprecedented emotional complexity. Their central processing units couldn't comprehend the developing situation. Aboard the Harmony, Jae-hyun remained completely unaware of the growing storm. He continued his research, occasionally noticing strange but fascinating communication patterns from his alien contacts. The first major incident occurred when Oria's crystal formation accidentally disrupted a major communication relay station near the Orion Nebula. The transmission, which was actually a complex emotional expression meant for Jae-hyun, was misinterpreted as a potential attack signal. Rakin's atmospheric response created unexpected weather patterns on 3 different planetary systems. Entire ecosystems experienced sudden temperature and pressure changes, causing widespread panic among local populations. Nex's nanomolecular sculptures began spontaneously replicating in research facilities across multiple star systems. Scientific installations found themselves suddenly surrounded by intricate living molecular structures that seemed to pulse with an unknown energy. Diplomatic channels erupted into chaos. Emergency meetings were called. High-ranking officials from multiple civilizations demanded explanations about the unusual activities of their representatives. "What is happening?" demanded the Crystal Civilization's lead diplomat. "Why are our communication protocols being compromised?" The gaseous consortium's leadership convened an emergency session, analyzing every millisecond of Rakin's recent transmissions. They couldn't understand why their most respected leader was behaving so irrationally. Nex's biomechanical collective ran millions of computational scenarios, trying to understand the unprecedented emotional responses their ambassador was experiencing. Military vessels from various civilizations began positioning themselves strategically. What started as a potential first contact scenario was quickly turning into something that looked like a potential interstellar conflict. Jae-hyun noticed something was different. The communication patterns were becoming more complex. Strange messages arrived with increasing frequency. His scientific curiosity was piqued, but he hadn't yet realized the full magnitude of the situation. The Harmony's communication systems began receiving simultaneous transmissions from multiple alien civilizations. Each transmission carried layers of emotional and diplomatic complexity that defied standard interpretation protocols. Ship's crew members started whispering. Something unusual was happening, and it all seemed centered around their quiet, unassuming stellar cartographer. Galactic news networks picked up fragments of the developing story. Rumors spread about a potential interspecies diplomatic incident that could reshape existing communication protocols. No one understood the true nature of what was happening. Was this a potential conflict, a unique form of communication, an emotional phenomenon beyond current scientific understanding? The 3 alien representatives continued their complex courtship, completely unaware that they were pushing their respective civilizations to the brink of a potential interstellar incident. Jae-hyun Park remained at the center of this developing storm, still believing he was simply engaged in an extraordinary scientific exchange. Space watched silently, holding its breath for what would come next. The moment of revelation arrived unexpectedly during a routine research analysis. Jae-hyun sat in his private laboratory, surrounded by holographic data streams and complex communication patterns. Something felt different about today's transmissions. Oria's crystal formation began to shift. The geometric pattern started revealing hidden layers of information, emotional frequencies that humans had never detected before. Each crystal structure contained complex emotional signatures that went beyond standard communication protocols. Rakin's atmospheric transmission changed its frequency. What once seemed like random scientific data now revealed intricate emotional narratives. The gaseous being was essentially speaking a language of pure emotion, transmitting feelings through atmospheric vibrations. Nex's nanomolecular structures began to pulse with a rhythm that matched Jae-hyun's own biological patterns. Microscopic, structures aligned themselves in ways that suggested a deep, almost telepathic connection. The ship's artificial intelligence started providing unusual translation suggestions. Fragments of emotional context began appearing alongside scientific data. Something extraordinary was happening. Jae-hyun's scientific mind struggled to comprehend the information. He ran multiple analysis protocols, cross-referencing the unusual transmissions. Each attempt revealed more complexity, more depth. "This isn't just communication," he muttered. "This is something entirely different." The revelations came in waves. Humans, the alien transmissions suggested, possessed a unique quantum emotional signature that was incredibly rare in the galaxy. Their ability to process complex emotions, to connect on multiple levels simultaneously, was unprecedented. Oria's transmission revealed that her crystal civilization had studied thousands of species. None had shown the emotional complexity humans possessed. Jae-hyun represented something extraordinary, a being capable of simultaneous emotional and logical processing. Raken's atmospheric communication explained that human emotional frequencies could potentially bridge entire civilizational communication gaps. The gaseous being had never encountered a species with such intricate emotional resonance. Nex's nanomolecular structures demonstrated how human emotional patterns could potentially revolutionize interspecies understanding. The biomechanical collective saw humans as a missing link in galactic communication evolution. The implications were staggering. What humans considered ordinary emotional experiences were, to these advanced civilizations, extraordinary quantum events. Jae-hyun's research shifted. He began documenting the unusual transmissions, realizing he was on the edge of the most significant scientific discovery in human history. Each analysis revealed deeper layers of complexity. The ship's crew noticed changes. Jae-hyun became more introspective, spending hours analyzing the unusual communication patterns. Something fundamental was changing in his understanding of human potential. Galactic communication networks started picking up fragments of the developing story. Scientific institutions across multiple civilizations began showing intense interest in the unusual transmissions. Oria, Raken, and Nex watched carefully. They had been waiting for this moment, the moment when Jae-hyun would finally understand the true nature of their connection. Humans are not just a species, Oria's transmission suggested. They are a quantum emotional bridge between different forms of existence. Raken's atmospheric communication added layers of emotional context. Humans could feel, analyze, and connect in ways no other known species could accomplish. Nex's nanomolecular structures began creating complex models, demonstrating human emotional potential. Each structure told a story of connection, of understanding beyond physical limitations. Jae-hyun sat back, his mind racing. The universe suddenly looked different. Humans were not just observers of cosmic events. They were potential participants in a much larger emotional and scientific narrative. The Harmony continued its journey, carrying within its hull a revelation that would change understanding of communication, emotion, and existence itself. Would you like me to continue with the final part of the story, or make any specific, the final chapter of this extraordinary story, unfolded with unexpected simplicity? Jae-hyun called a meeting with Oria, Raken, and Nex, a diplomatic gathering that would reshape galactic understanding. The ship's conference room transformed into a neutral space. Holographic representations of the three alien representatives materialized, each maintaining a respectful distance. Jae-hyun sat at the center, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the complex emotions surrounding him. "I understand now," Jae-hyun began, his voice steady. "You're not just conducting a diplomatic mission, this is something more." Oria's crystal formation shimmered with emotional resonance. Her communication revealed the depth of her civilization's fascination. Humans represented a unique emotional quantum that could potentially bridge entire galactic communication gaps. Raken's atmospheric presence pulsed with a mixture of hope and vulnerability. the gaseous being had never experienced such complex emotional attraction before. Humans, to their civilization, were like a missing piece of a cosmic puzzle. Nex's biomechanical structure displayed intricate molecular patterns that told a story of connection beyond traditional understanding. Their collective saw humans as a potential evolutionary breakthrough in interspecies communication. Jae-hyun proposed something radical. Instead of a traditional diplomatic resolution, he suggested a collaborative research initiative. 3 different civilizations would work together, using human emotional intelligence as a foundational communication model. The proposal was unprecedented. Governments across multiple star systems received the transmission with a mixture of confusion and excitement. No single alien representative would claim exclusive connection with humanity. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity. What had started as a potential conflict transformed into a groundbreaking collaborative opportunity. Humans were no longer seen as a distant, unknown species. They were potential bridges between different forms of existence. Oria's civilization began developing new communication protocols based on human emotional complexity. Their crystal networks would now include emotional frequency mapping, previously thought impossible. Raken's gaseous consortium started redesigning their atmospheric communication systems. Human emotional patterns would become a critical component of their interspecies dialogue. Nex's biomechanical collective initiated comprehensive studies on human quantum emotional signatures. Their nanomolecular research would focus on understanding the unique human capacity for emotional connection. The 3 alien representatives looked at Jae-hyun with a mixture of respect and profound emotional connection. They had discovered something more valuable than individual romantic pursuit, a revolutionary approach to understanding consciousness. Jae-hyun's proposal meant no single civilization could claim exclusive rights to this discovery. It would be a shared journey of understanding, with humans at the center of a cosmic communication revolution. Galactic news networks picked up the story. Millions of beings across different star systems learned about the unexpected diplomatic breakthrough. Humans were no longer just another species. They were potential catalysts for a new form of interspecies communication. The Harmony continued its journey, now carrying the potential to transform galactic understanding. Jae-hyun returned to his research knowing something fundamental had changed. Oria, Raken, and Nex remained connected. Their initial romantic pursuits transformed into a profound collaborative mission. They would continue their work, exploring the extraordinary emotional potential of humanity. Space watched silently, holding its breath at the dawn of a new understanding. As the ship moved through the vast darkness, carrying its extraordinary revelation, one thing became clear. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technology or its scientific prowess, but its capacity to connect, to feel, and to understand. The story of the Harmony was just beginning.